blockchain is not a cryptocurrency. It's a beautiful Thursday morning, and I'd like to welcome you to the first episode of many series of our banking and blockchain program. Hello viewers, welcome to another episode of Banks and Blockchain. It's been excitement, anticipation all over Nigeria since the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks, since we're expecting the launch of the e-Naira, which is going to happen tomorrow, the Independence Day of Nigeria, October 1st.
But generally, what do you think the challenges are? Because it's expected that such a technology that carries such power and can give us such a huge solution to a lot of our problems is not mainstream yet, like it's not being used. So what are the challenges that you see to it being mainstream?
Develop myself as an individual, who is relatively new to this space. I'm so glad that he's here with us. So very quickly, when we come back, we are going to be having him on the show. He's going to introduce himself, and we also interview. We are going to ask a few questions about the things that have been bothering our mind about the blockchain ecosystem.
Already, we are a lot more diverse, we are a lot more bigger, we are a lot more creative. Yeah, we love our Silicon Valley people.
Guess what we'll be doing? We'll be talking about trade. I know how much trade means to the African continent, hence the reason why we have chosen to come back with this subject, how trade can affect the economies of African nations, how it can affect even the economy of the world, of course. And like I said, we are back with a blockchain bank, and if you are joining us for the first time in Nigeria, for example, or in Kenya, for example, and you decide to travel to Dubai for health check, or you just want to walk into an hospital you are feeling a bit of pains, or you're having different symptoms, and you just want to walk into an hospital to be able to check yourself and be sure that you are very well, your information from which
Hello viewers, welcome to another episode of your favorite blockchain show, Banks and Blockchain. I remain your host, Olubumi Fabawo, and this program is proudly brought to you by Cnetv. Now, today's episode will be discussing crypto volatility in details. I know that this is something that a lot of people have been waiting to understand. If there are people that are not in the blockchain space or do not really understand cryptocurrency, so we are going to do a breakdown of where exactly it is $1 million today and $10 tomorrow. You know, we just speak about the volatility in details. Having a finance background, having an experience in finance has told me a few things about how volatility works. So I'll just be sharing my experience with that, bringing it into crypto, my understanding of blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. So you are sure for a ride today, because we are going to be educating you and we are going to be enlightening you about cryptocurrencies, volatility, whether advantage or disadvantage. So when we come back on this very, very short break, we'll be delving directly into the subject of crypto volatility. Please stay tuned. Hi guys, welcome back to Banks and Blockchain, and today we'll be speaking about volatility in crypto. We'll be trying to explain as simple as possible why exactly you have cryptocurrencies being very volatile. So in finance, volatility simply describes how quickly a certain price changes, that's the price of a certain asset, be it currency, be it a valuable commodity. It just describes how quickly it changes. So how quickly it goes up, how quickly it comes down. And this is usually calculated in terms of standard deviation in annual return of that asset over a set period of time. So because it is the measure of the degree of price changes, volatility is often used as an effective measure to rate, a particular investment risk associated with the asset. So this means, in essence, that for you to be able to understand how risky a particular asset is, it is dependent on the volatility. So when it goes up and down within a very short period, so many times, you say that this particular commodity or this particular asset is very, very volatile. Now, I would delve into a bit into investment. This is not investment advice, of course, but then I'm just going to lay down, I'm just going to give some scenarios. So for example, maybe a 50-year-old or a 70-year-old man decides to retire after maybe 35 years of service and is looking for an investment or looking for where to put his money in. Of course, everybody is going to look for a safe option. If you're in that shoe, you look for a safe option that does not necessarily give you high returns, and also that you are sure that you can't afford, you can't lose your money. So definitely you look for a safe and less volatile asset. This is just common sense. And if you are somebody like me, or somebody like most of our viewers, or some of our viewers, you are in your teenage, you're in teenage years, you're in your 20s, you're in your early 30s or late 30s, you're still in active service, you can afford, to invest in assets that give you high returns. And of course, when they say the higher the returns, the higher the risk, the higher the returns. So anything you're investing in, you're sure that there is a higher risk of that. So just like in other markets or in other assets that we've spoken about, volatility is simply an important measure of risk. Same thing in the cryptocurrency markets. So owing to the digital nature of cryptocurrencies and the low level of regulation, there's a bit of regulation, but it's quite low compared to when you look at other investment arms or other type of assets. And of course, the smaller market size, because I know that the entire financial industry is about maybe $2 trillion, and cryptocurrency is just about 1% of that. I think, just about 1% of that. So we are still in early stages, like we always say. So we are still in early times in terms of the size and the size of cryptocurrencies compared to the traditional financial system. So we have a smaller market size. Because of these things that I mentioned, cryptocurrencies are more volatile than most of these other classes of assets. In part, this higher level of volatility is responsible for the mass, the interest that a lot of people have in investing in it. As an investor, you can realize large returns over a very, very short period. We've seen so many people become multi-millionaires over a short period by investing in cryptocurrencies. I'm not telling you to go and put all your money in crypto, but yes, this is evident. We've seen it over time. So it is likely that volatility in cryptocurrency has led to them having this much money, and we are sure that over time this will decrease. By the time we start having more regulation and we start having more people playing in the industry, definitely volatility most likely will reduce, because all these things that I've mentioned previously are the ones contributing to it. So with wider adoption and a bit of increase in size of the market, along with increased regulation, we are going to see lesser volatility. And this same volatility that seems to be negative is also the one that allows people to make so much fortune from it. So when you invest in something that is highly volatile, then it has high risk, you are looking out for high returns, or you are looking out for no returns at all in some cases. So always do your research, like we would say, DYOR. Do your research before putting money in any type of investment, be it crypto, be it any assets. That is an investment advice. So the very levels of risk associated with different investments, of course, require you to understand your personal risk tolerance. Everybody has risk tolerance. Some people are risk averse. Some people are open to certain levels of risk. So we always, it is advisable to understand your risk tolerance before proceeding to understand or to get into any type of investment, because this helps you to assess the volatility of that particular asset you are interested in, and you will know whether it aligns with your risk profile as an individual or as a business. So of course, cryptocurrencies are like the riskiest asset that we have, and they are the most risky that you can put your hard-earned money on. And of course, it can give you a very, very significant rate of returns, like I mentioned previously, but as well you can also take a huge loss. I mean, your finances can take a huge hit just because of the extreme volatility. So it goes left and it goes right. It could be positive, it could be negative. However, always understand your risk appetite. Always assess yourself before putting your hard-earned money into anything that has to do with cryptocurrency markets. Now, there are certain people that are trained to, to get into the market and be able to, do trades, get money and all of that. But if you are somebody that doesn't understand at all, there's need for you to be able to assess your risk and able to understand what exactly it is that you are going into. So at the end of the day, you don't get your fingers burnt. I just thought to mention that in the same vein that we are mentioning volatility. Let us go for a short water break, and when we come back, we will start looking into what causes the volatility or the causes of volatility in the cryptocurrency market. Please stay tuned. I'm sure that you are so interested in hearing this because yes, we are going to get a bit technical. So please stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hi viewers, welcome back to Banks and Blockchain. My name remains Olubunmi Fabanwo, and we are looking at volatility in the cryptocurrency market. And we've already had a very good introduction. You said exactly what assessing your risk appetite has to do with the volatility, understanding that this particular asset that we are speaking about is highly risky because of the volatility, and it is volatile because it is risky. So now we'll be looking at what exactly is the cause, or what are the causes of the volatility in the cryptocurrency market, which I believe is very, very key for you to have this sort of information before, yes, jumping into the market or trying to understand what exactly it is that you're doing, if you had already jumped into it or invested in it without having this understanding. So yes, we are here to educate you. Now, the first and one of the most important reasons or causes for this volatility is that the crypto market is still an infant market. It is a young market backed by practically new technology. Blockchain technology is probably maybe like two decades old at most, and this is still relatively new technology. So because of this, it makes it more volatile it makes cryptocurrency more volatile compared to the traditional investments that have stood the test of time and are pretty mature. Just exactly as the internet was a revolutionary type of tech back in the 90s, and internet related companies were generating huge rates of returns, the likes of Microsoft and the likes of so many big organizations in the beginning of the internet had made significant rate of returns back then. It's just in the same vein that the cryptocurrency market is currently in a similar cycle where several organizations, several individuals, are profiting off the instability and the volatility of the market. So it is still relatively new, and new technologies take time to be perfected and adopted by general masses. And of course, there is high risk of failure since there are so many things that can go wrong. As at now, it's still a young market. Imagine a 6-month-old child trying to walk. He keeps falling and standing and falling and standing. That's even if he can stand, So many things, they have to do with development. So at this point in time, it's still relatively new. It's a young market, so hence the volatility. That's just one reason. And the possibility of future disruptions and adoption creates a certain passive value in the market. So the reason why a lot of cryptocurrencies that we see the value in them is because of the projected value, the passive value in the future. So this primarily sparks like speculation. So people are just speculating, I say, oh yeah, it should be this, it should be that, and this also has led to, volatility. So it is not like this is disadvantageous, this is just the reality of things. So because cryptocurrencies have not reached, a lot of people, there's not yet that mass adoption. The values are still square, they are fueled by hype and a lot of speculation. And this is why we always say that this is a high risk, high return type of asset. Another reason for the volatility of crypto is because of the low liquidity that we have in cryptocurrency relative to other asset markets that you have at present. So what would you mean by liquidity? So liquidity simply refers to the ease of being able to buy and sell an asset or a commodity in an open market. So a market with high volume of transactions and a vibrant or a very high number of market participants, both buyers and sellers, is known as a highly liquid market. And the opposite, it is for markets that are not liquid. So we are saying that the liquidity in the market is not as high as every other asset that's in the crypto market. And I'm sure that over time, with mass adoption still, people, you start seeing more liquidity, more participants in the market, and that's why we keep advocating for more understanding, more education, because there's need for you to understand what exactly is right in your face. There's need for you to get with it. There's need for you to understand these use cases of blockchain technology, because whether or not you like it, it is going to change your life. So that is the reason why we brought banks and blockchain, to be able to educate more people, as many people as possible, push out publicity, push out education, push out enlightenment, and we are giving you free of charge. Clap for us. All right, so the crypto market is basically, has very low liquidity compared to other asset markets, and this is the reason, because we don't have as many players as possible. And over time, like I said, we'll definitely have more adoption and more people will get into the market. Another reason for volatility is that the crypto market is basically, or is generally, unregulated. We have not been able, as a people, we've not been able to come together to sit down on regulation on crypto. So the crypto market is largely unregulated due to the complexity and the difficulty in regulating such an open source and decentralized technology. So before you want to regulate, you have to first understand the technology. You have to understand the decentralization that is bringing. And of course, with the absence of this regulation, there is an high influx of bad actors, of course. And by bad actors, I mean people that just want to manipulate the market. People that just want to scam, like we always say. A lot of people just jump in. So in an unregulated market, you have people like that. And I know that there have been numerous reports of different entities that are manipulating cryptocurrency markets. And some of these examples can range from coordinated pump and dump schemes. I know that you must have heard of pump and dump, or you must have experienced it. Maybe a few people have experienced that. I have not. I've not experienced any pump and dump. I've not put my money in any pump and dump scheme, but we have coordinated efforts towards having this kind of thing. And people like that, by doing a collective manipulation of trading volumes, people just do this pump and dump schemes. They push it out, speculation. They just raise alarm and say, oh yeah, come and buy this is that, and at the end of the day you find out that it's all a charade, it's all a scam. So this is due to the reason, because we don't have regulations like that. But we know that subsequently governments are going to come and sit down and understand this cryptocurrency. They are going to understand blockchain more, to be able to sit. Every party is supposed to come together. It's a collective thing. Crypto is here to stay. Blockchain is here to stay, and is here to improve our lives. Is here to help us to be able to solve various problems, different problems that we are currently facing as humans, as individuals. So we know that over time, governments are going to come and sit down, and we are going to start putting regulations together. There are a number of countries that are already looking at regulating cryptocurrencies and the blockchain space. So the next cause for volatility is one that we've mentioned before, and it is speculation. So volatility is an important market concept for any trader or any investor to understand before engaging in different types of investment, like we spoke earlier. For you to be able to understand your risk appetite, yes, you need to study. Volatility is very, very key. And the cryptocurrency market is highly volatile, but then it is a double-edged sword, like we said. So you can generate crazy returns, and you can also face a high risk of losing all your money. It is a double-edged sword. So you can actually make a lot of money, you can make massive profits, and you can also lose all your money. There's a high risk of losing your capital investing in crypto. And ultimately, like I mentioned before, you need to understand your risk appetite, so you can know if you are prepared to be able to take that level of risk and that the market has to offer. I think these are the 4 basic reasons why cryptocurrency is very, very volatile. So now, this is not telling you not to invest or to invest. This is telling you to first do your research. Then next, you should be able to know your risk appetite, understand your risk appetite, and also be able to look at your portfolio and say, oh yes, this is certain amount I'm willing to invest in this kind of volatile asset. Now, the volatility can both be advantageous and also disadvantageous. We will continue to preach that DYOR. Always, always, always do your research. And to be able to help you do your research, there are platforms like the Binance Academy to help you understand the cryptocurrency space, to help you understand blockchain technology. And with this understanding, you can be able to sit down and say and plan accordingly. You can plan your finances. You can do better by looking at different investments and different and understand the different risk attached to each and every one of them. The higher the risk, the higher the returns, but understand your risk appetite. You can make a lot of money and you can lose a lot of money. You choose by having an understanding and doing your research. As always, we would always be here to be able to dish out information like this, to be able to help you break down several concepts and subjects like crypto volatility, which I know in this time it is very, very salient and very, very important for us to discuss. Now, on the next episode of Banks and Blockchain, we are bringing in somebody that is going to help us break down another concept. You know, here we treat the actual and the most important subjects, and it is why it is the best blockchain show ever to have existed on the African continent and everywhere all over the world. My name remains Olubunmi Fabao, and I'll be seeing you on the next interesting episode of Banks and Blockchain next Thursday. Remember, it is 1 p.m. WAT every week in, week out. We are here, and this was proudly brought to you by Cnetv. Please enjoy your day and enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you for joining.